Jeff. Today I'm going to show you a bit about the new radio I've bought to put in the XC Falcon. This is going to replace the existing standard radio that comes with the car. Mine is only an AM radio. There's no AM channels left, so we need to upgrade that to something new. So I've gone onto eBay and I've purchased a Super Fringe XC Falcon setup, a retro sound, motor 7 from the GT Parts warehouse. Delivery came super quick, even during the times we're in at the moment. Really well packaged, came in really good condition. That's the unit there, so you can see that it's looks very similar to an XC Falcon radio anyway. I've actually pulled mine out. It's sitting over here on the table, so we can put a side-by-side comparison. You can see they're very similar looking. A couple of little components. You can actually put the decal on there, which is similar to that. Knobs are pretty good. So yeah, it should look pretty good. Plus it has all the modern cons. USB connection, amp connections, auxiliaries in and out. So overall, really good. Looks to be very close setup. So what I'll do is do some little parts to show you how the installation goes. Any problems I come across putting in the Falcon, and hopefully I can go through a bit of pain and save you guys some pain later on. So I'll do this in a few parts, and any problems I come across I'll post up. So my aim is to install this new radio and keep the dash of the car looking as standard as possible. So here we have the standard setup that was in, well, it wasn't in the car when I got it, it was all dodged up, and I've chased these parts up and try to put them all back together as standard as possible. So that's an original XC radio that I sourced for the car, as well as all the surrounds for the clock and the radio. So hopefully the achievement is to put that in there without mutilating any of this, because it took quite a bit of effort to track all this stuff down. Yeah, so we'll start by trying to put that into this surround and see how that fits. So with the standard radio taken out, you're left with that. That's the piece that goes in there. The piece supplied with the new radio is actually flat, so you can actually stick that in there. You can have it like that if you want. Gives the radio a bit more depth, whereas the original one brings it out flush with the rest of the fascia. So what I have noticed is the new radio doesn't actually sit in there flush, so I'm just going to widen those with a file. It's like a couple of mil, if that. And also the square around the front of the radio there doesn't actually fit through the rounded corners on this fascia. I've actually got a couple of spares, so what I plan to do is just sit that one on there as a template, and then just file those edges, because once it gets through those corners, there's enough room for it to slide through the rest, and hopefully it shouldn't take too much out. So we'll get a small file and we'll do those edges and do that, and see if I can get it to sit nice and flush without too much destruction to these fascia panels. So in prep, what I've done is I've just bolted the flat fascia that comes with the radio to the back of my fascia, and you can see the minimal part that needs to be taken out on each corner. So it just gives me a template, and I've got the little file there. I'll just file them out, and then hopefully my fascia should fit over the new radio quite easily. Alright, I've finished filing that fascia out. So this one here, you can see I've filed those corners more to a square rather than the standard round. So the bottom quite easy to get square. The top's a little bit trickier because it's a bit deeper, but overall took 10 minutes with a little file, and we'll see if it fits over the fascia of the radio now, the new radio. Beautiful. So yeah, no problems. That should be good. So we'll fit it in the front of that and screw it all together and see what it looks like. So next I just took some small bits out of there on the edge. You won't even see those, so they're not too bad, which allows this to fit in there nicely. So it fits in really good, and then you can go with either your flat cover supplied by them, so that gives you that as your final look. Like I said, sort of countersunk into the dash, or you can go with that look. I'll put that together properly and show you what that looks like in a second, but that's the way I'm going to go. But that doesn't look too bad either if you prefer to have that, because you've got the shiny bezel around the radio itself. That looks pretty good, so I'll get my fascia in there, put the knobs on, and we'll have a look what it looks like. Okay, there we go. That's what it'll look like sitting in the dash of the car. All put back together. The USB there, unfortunately the surround I got, the one with the clock, I could only get with 2 big holes either side, so put a dummy switch in this side which I might use for turning the bass on and off eventually, and a USB to charge the iPhone in that side to cover those holes up. But yeah, that looks pretty good. So next step is to mount the unit into the car without the fascia. Just make sure everything's there is good. I've been looking at my old one, and we have this bracket on the back which helps support the radio in the dash. So I'm actually going to see, I've got that hole there in the middle. I'm going to see if that actually fits to this radio and gives us the right dimensions to actually utilise that bracket to help hold the new stereo in. So that's the next part. So moving on to this back bracket, I've done the measurements from the fascia to the back of the radio, and the guys that set up the retro radio are spot on. Like, it's 120mm from the front to the back, and this one you measure from the front of that plate as well to the back, spot on 120mm. This bracket itself is actually not going to fit there easily. You can see I'm going to have to cut a little bit out there, as well as try to make it a little bit longer to get down to that hole, which shouldn't be that hard, but then we can utilise that back bracket just for holding the stereo and putting less stress on the fascia and the knobs that are holding the stereo there. So we'll get to modifying that so it goes around that, and we can slot it into that hole there and see how we go. Okay, then I've marked up this bracket, so obviously the black parts are the bits I'm going to cut out. So that will slide down over the hole, and we'll use a washer, and the original screw out of the old radio fits in there, so that'll attach that there. And then I've left some margins around that plug. I haven't actually plugged it in yet to see how much margins I need, but I've left a couple of mil around either side, so I'll go and cut them out with tin snips or a hacksaw. You could probably use a grinder if you want to do it faster, but I'll take it slow and steady. So snips and a file, and clean it all up, and we'll come back and see how it fits. Alright, job done. So just using a pair of small tin snips, I was able to notch out the hole. Just there. So notch that out so it slides down. The washer just gives it a bit more bite because it didn't quite reach, and also cut out that piece there, which is plenty of clearance for the plug, but gives us that original bracket at the right distance from the old stereo. So hopefully the kit came with a lot of hardware and straps to strap it in. You can see the instructions there, but I don't think we'll need to use that at all, so go back to almost the original setup, which is awesome. So next step will be to just see how it fits in the actual center of the dash, without the fascia and stuff on, but we'll see if it goes in there and see what that looks like. So we'll stop part one here of the installation, learning a bit about YouTube as I go. The videos can't be too long, so we'll cut this one off, and when I get out to the car we'll start part two. So we'll post this one up first, and then hopefully not far after that will be part two of the installation if you're interested in watching. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.